Hey, it's Dave from Lamachant Technology. Today I thought we'd create a module to allow switching back and forth between different roles to kind of preview security quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new application, security previewing. I'll do it just for Windows. It will work on web as well. I'm going to pick XPO as our data type, and I'm going to choose authentication standard. Standard, Active Directory, any of these work, it's fine. Next, we'll just pick the defaults and away we go. Perfect, I'll close this down. So what I really need to start is a custom user object. So the easiest way to do that is just add a new business object called custom user. Let's go ahead and inherit from the permission policy user. And I'm going to just pop the map inheritance on top of this. Oops, inheritance type dot parent table. So any new fields that I put in here will actually exist in the permission policy user table, and there won't be a custom user table at all. It's kind of handy. So I'm just adding a new custom property called security preview. It's a boolean, so it'll be checked off to give them access to this controller that we're about to create. And so let's go into our controllers. We'll add, and we're going to do a window controller. So new item, window controller, security preview controller. So let's start by throwing an action on here. We want a single choice action. And we'll call it action security preview. Okay, we'll pick a category. Let's just throw it into the tools. We're going to change from items mode, which is kind of like what you see with a filter, and item as operation is more of a button setup. Pick that, and show items on click, absolutely. Perfect. And then I can double click on this, or I can subscribe either way to the execute event here. And now we're into the back of our controller. So let's go ahead and scope this down. We want our target window type to be main only. What I need to do is load up our action with a list of available roles. So let's do a private void for roles. And using iObjectSpace, space equals application.createObjectSpace. I'll say for each permission policy role, oh, I didn't do that. Role in space dot get objects. And because I want to order these nicely in my action, I'm going to do order by x.name. Nice and clean for us. And so what I want to do is add a new choice action item. Action item. So I'm going to use the role.name for the caption and the role.oid for actual data element. I'm going to, at the very end of this, add another choice action item. Oh, hang on, first of all, let's add this to our action. Action security preview.items.add item. I'm going to action security preview.items.add. I'm going to put in a new choice action item, which is called refresh. And good.empties will pass through. And I should up here clear this before we do anything. So action security preview.items.clear. And the last thing I want to do is check if the security user, our custom user, has that security preview checked. Now to make this controller more reusable, I'm actually going to add an interface down here. Interface, security preview, and it's going to have one boolean, which is security preview getter. And so in our custom user, we'll just implement that security preview. There we go. So now we can just add this interface to whatever type we decide to create. As long as it has our security preview, we know what to expect. So you can just grab this controller and put it into your own solution. Great. So up in here, let's clear this first. What I want to do is get the current user. Put that in here. Let's do preview, security preview, user equals, we want our space.get object by key in this case. We're going to do a permission policy user. And I want the security system.current user ID. Okay. I'll just say if the user.security preview, then we're going to go ahead and add these items. Otherwise, they just stay blank. And I'm just going to cast this to a This is actually not great. So I'm grabbing the permission policy user, but if I wanted to, actually, I could change this. We know that the type is going to be iSecurity preview. We could actually just grab this as the security system.current user. Let's do that. I like that more. Either way would work, but it's a little cleaner. Okay. Let's load our roles when we first load the controller. And now when we actually click the action, it will be quick and easy to switch roles. So let's grab the GUID, which is our role OID, is e.selected choice action item dot data. Again, we put that up in here. So I'm just going to cast that to a GUID. If the role OID dot equals GUID dot empty, then we're just going to load roles. And we're going to return. So that just does our refresh. Okay, let's grab our role. So let's do our permission policy role. And we need an object space for this. So let's do using object space equals application dot create object space. Get object by key. And we're going to use that role OID from above. And let's grab our current user again. We know it's going to be a permission policy user. This time I will grab it because we need to change the actual user. So space.getObject by key permission policy user, and we want the security system dot current user ID. There we go. Now I'm going to say while the user dot roles dot count, roles dot count is greater than 0, we're going to do user dot roles dot remove and user dot roles 0. So that strips out all their roles wherever they're in. We're going to do user dot roles dot add. We're going to add the role we just decided to select from here. We found it in here. And last we need to do is just commit our changes. So space dot commit changes. That's done. And then finally, application dot log off. So that'll kick us back to our login screen in that new role. We should actually do a check here. We should say if user equals null, which it shouldn't be, or role equals null. Probably won't be, but if you deleted one, it would not come through. Let's just throw a new exception here. Unable to find user or role. Good. A few last things we need to do before we can run this. Let's go into our app.config. Make sure we point this to the right database. So I'm using SQL Express locally. Let's go ahead and build this once. Before we can open a designer, you have to make at least one build. So now we'll go to the Win Application Designer. I need to click on the Security Strategy Complex and change the user type to use my custom user. Finally, let's go ahead and close most of these down. Let's go back into the database updater. So in here, we're creating a permission policy user. Because we're using our own custom user now, we want to create those. Actually, we don't even need to do that there. We can do it just when we create it. Custom user. Actually, just in case you have bad data from before, custom user. And same thing up here. And what I'll do is actually on the admin side of it, we know it's going to be a custom user. I'm going to also put user admin dot security preview equals true. So that'll check off that property by default. Admin role, default role, fine. Well, that's good. And I believe that's it. Let's go ahead and give it a run. Okay, so let's log in with our admin. It's going to go ahead and create our database. It's going to create our 2 roles and 2 users. There we go, it came up. So yeah, there's our 2 users. Let's look at roles. We have 2 roles, perfect. Let's see if we can switch. So I need to change the name on that, not a big deal. So we're in administrators right now. Let's go to default. It's going to log us off. We log back in. And you can see, yeah, I can't see any roles, and I can only see myself. Again, protected content, security preview is on. We are going to have an issue right now. If I try to go to tools, my OMA action is here. There's no records within it. This is because we're using a secured object space provider. And a secured object space provider applies the security rules before fetching the data, or as it's fetching the data. So it never really makes it into your sessions to work with. So because of that, it kind of locks us out. So what I'm going to do is change in our Win application from the secured object space provider. I'm just going to do a standard XP object space provider. args.object space providers add XP object space provider. We need an XP object space provider dot get data store provider, and it wants an args.connection string and args.connection. So this applies the security rules after the fact. Now, if you wanted to do a separate build configuration to turn on and off the secured object space provider, not a bad idea. Create one build for creating and testing roles, and then when you do a production build, set it back to the other. So in here you can see again I have my users and roles. That's fine. If I switch back to default and log back in, they'll be loaded up now, but the ones that I'm not allowed to see have protected content. So that's kind of where the secured object space is most noticeably helpful. Also helpful in things like reports. Good, but now at least I should have access to these again. So let's go back to administrator, and now I can flip back and forth really quickly. So what I'm going to do is create a new role. We'll call this super users. We're going to give them edit model rights. They are allowed to read all, but maybe we turn off the role navigation item for them. They can't go to roles, deny. So if I go back to tools now, in our action, it's not here. If I click refresh, it will come back in now. So I have super users. Let's go ahead and flip to that, and we should lose our role navigation item. There we go. So it's gone. Now I can still see the roles because I have it open previously, but I wouldn't be able to navigate there again when I close that. So that should be quick and easy to implement in your projects. Grab this one controller and then put it into your project. Implement that interface, that iSecurity preview on your user. Remember, it has to be on the user, not on the role, since you're going to be changing roles back and forth. Set your user type in your Win application or your web application under the security, and you should be good to go. Let's just do a little bit of final cleanup. Back into our controller. Let's go ahead and change our name to security preview. There it is. So that's it. Pretty straightforward. You can grab this code off our website, lamachant.com, and hopefully it's very helpful to you.